Hello and welcome. This is Diana, and you are watching Holistic Vibes. This is going to be for Life Path 33 Gemini. Um, so we'll see what comes up and go from there, right? As always, for those of you that don't know, I am a alchemist of sorts, and my job is to shift your energy. So if you can ground your energy, um, your feet chakra, connecting them into the core of the earth, and allow yourself to kind of set the phase, or the place, or mm, to offer clarity to what it is that you've been going through and what you need to possibly know as you proceed forward, right? And there could be a grab for that. Like there could be like a shift within your own where you feel like you're out of reach, regardless of like what you're planning or how you're planning the execution of something, right? Courage, finding inner strength to face fears with confidence, blame, and failure. Okay, so that's the positive negative polarity of what you are currently like working through your indecisions, through your understanding clarity. Um, and you can very well feel like a bit of an outsider, whatever you are currently going through. It could be because possibly you're hearing or seeing more than meets the eye, right? Like you're seeing past the veil of what you're looking at in the current reality. So, creator experiencing rebel and ordinariness, traveling and the burden. The travel is the burden, the blame game, I guess one, or whatever. So, through whatever you're in, sorry, like it's just kind of like it's blipping between a couple of different insights pathways. It's kind of giving like a front and back or side to side version of a perspective. So as you're kind of deepening your connection, right? Maybe I'm talking to somebody who has divine mediumship. Maybe you came from a long line of people who actually felt and saw spirit, right? And so through your courage of like understanding, like to no fault of your own, right? Because maybe you can relate with the feeling of being on the outside of your family. Like they don't quite get the fact that you have gifts, and like you're probably pumped about like the exploration of the gifts. Maybe you've started to remember your dreams. Maybe you have learned to like project yourself or to jump to the other side of the planet, or how to remote view. It's kind of like they're showing me like it's a failure to connect. There's a separation or a chasm between like you and your family unit. And maybe this was amplified over the holiday, right? In the US, we just celebrated Thanksgiving. So, I mean, it could have opened up a different type of sticky energy, right? Like not so light, not so bright. When you are in a environment where you are isolated, essentially it's a controlled environment. it's harder to be ruffled, right? Like you can't really do a lot of the deep work without another person to push you to be challenged in those energies, right? And that's part of that evolutionary phase. And if you still have like failure or blame or like a pushback just because you told me no, I'm going to do it anyway, right? Um, Understand like that's the you have to ask yourself, are you moving closer to cohesiveness with that energy signature? If you are doing anything as a reverb, as a reaction or a reactionary tale to get someone else to respond to you, then that would be formed as a toxic viewpoint. And you have to get back into the why are you attempting to push somebody else's buttons by the projection of what you're putting out, right? And so like through the reflection, or maybe somebody's doing that to you, right? You have to also kind of wheel it back. Whatever's sitting in the lower back, I see you, you can go ahead and leave. Just take a deep breath, releasing whatever you're holding on to. um it's kind of like it's the self mastery of like the golden aura. It's like when you reach a state of consciousness where you are able to walk in balance in both dualities and masculine and feminine energies, right? Where you are truly in love with your life, when you are just happy to just be, right? It's that whole like blissfulness in watching the birds or watching the wind blow through the trees. It's the cohesiveness in the earth's atmosphere. It's tapping into the earth, tapping into the core and like feeling the divine rays, um, her frequency into a 4D heart centered consciousness, right? And like through that evolvement or through that alignment, like your they're just kind of showing me like the gaps in like your aura or the gaps in your lifetime or the places where you second guessed yourself. It's like the alignment of you coming home to you through like your breath, through your connection, through your spiritual evolvement. It's the energy is becoming aligned to then reflect to you what it is you desire. And as you get more honed and more aligned, like the burdens are going to fully dissipate. It's kind of like what felt overwhelming or what felt like unpreparedness is going to completely dissipate. It's kind of like all of a sudden you step, yeah, that overwhelm. It's you step from being out of control to be fully locked and in control. It's kind of like you start realizing like where it's been that you've actually held yourself back, you've been in a state of recovery, or you've been in isolation, right? And like through you coming home to you, you kind of allow yourself to no longer get like caught up in other people's coulda, woulda, shouldas, or why didn't they respond but like XYZ, right? Or why didn't this unfold the way I thought it was going to unfold? It's like with the clear vision and the ability to like release the defensiveness, because when you're fully in your heart center and you just are, you're no longer defensive and you're no longer kind of playing that mm, it's kind of like that it's the quick-wittedness with the jab. It's like it's not haha funny. It's more like haha I'm going for the throat, right? And those of you that have been triggered to the point where you hit a low blow, like you fully understand that process, right? Because, and it's not like it's a lower version of the who you are. It's the where you feel lack or where you feel like you're not enough, and the way where you feel like you are blamed. It essentially sucks out like your light and takes you from being aligned to being unaligned, right? And it's like overcoming the fear, like how you've been breaking your own cycle, or yeah, your father issues or lack thereof, the strictness. There was a lot of sternness of like who you would become and how the family would be reflected, right? I don't know. That's coming for somebody out there. And so, like, the thing is like through this honoring or through the release of the connections, right? Because he's showing you the way he either wished his father would have connected with him or the way that his father did, in fact, connect with him. And so it's the understanding or peeling of the lack or the have. And so there always are those two spectrums of the place for that resolution. And by going through and looking at like where do you feel you're still holding a torch for a old wound, right? That is keeping you from a state of being courageous or being a leader or a active creator in your own reality. And so it's like understanding your vibrations of what are still essentially keeping you anchored into a lower vibration. And it's like it's the trigger point of security, right? And as you own that energy, and every time that you have been pulled out of security for whatever reason or put into a state of angst, like honor that angst, but feel that energy and see where it was living at, right? Was that energy living in your root chakra? Because I literally like felt like the shift in red energy. And so it's like as you're stepping into your courage, as you're stepping into your own divine truth, like then you need to also clear that red grid. Um, because as you reformulate what it means to have a firm foundation in what is your divine truth, what is your root chakra, then it's really going to amplify that how you're proceeding moving forward, right, into this next phase. And it's kind of like it's a quiet dominance, or it's a quiet like I don't know. I once saw this guy move through a crowd, and it's like the amount of energy of his sway essentially polarized and it like magnetized away from the way that he was walking, and he was like drifting through the crowd, right? And it's that kind of a confident swagger or a it's a get in like alignment with. It's an instant enlightenment. No, it's kind of the control aspect of what you've been holding on to fully releases, and you step into the allowance vibration, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that aspect there. I'm gonna pull one more card. Gemini, if something in this resonated with you, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. You need to paint whatever you are currently doing in order to, and you may want to play with like metals, the way that different densities of metals um, hold different frequencies in energetic connectivity, right? Like you need to play with that with your energy and how metals amplify your auric field or contract your magnetic field, right? And understand like the think magneto, but more in a chemistry kind of a way. I don't know. That's what they're saying. So, unworkable. So if something pops up in your reality where you're like, I really wish it would go like X, Y, and Z, you can always do the Neville Goddard and do the law of assumption. Or you can come to a state of being where you're no longer accepting like the what you're going through or what you're being exposed to is only a one-sided street. It takes two people to make the situation unfold the way it is, right? Again, what are you consciously creating and what are you just along for the ride for? And it's yeah, what version are you showing up for today? Like, how are you putting your best foot forward? How are you stepping into a state where you are creating the vibration of freedom, right? Of bliss, of joy, of peace, of understanding, of kindness, of generosity? Like, where are you helping shift your little bubble? And so like maybe you're painting that, maybe you're working through that through different types of textiles. Um, because they're showing me like a couple of different mediums. And it's also kind of wonder like I'm also kind of getting a hit of like for those of you that are kind of overcoming like somebody cheating on you or somebody giving you a false narrative or pretending to be one thing and then in actuality there's something completely different, like you have to connect in with the divine and always ask for your highest and best good, right? And if you ask for your and best good and somebody shows you that they are not your highest and best good, like you need to be in a state of gratitude to the divine for showing you that person's true colors when they did and not allowing it to continue, right? Like we have to get into a state of being where we are truly understanding that like those that are creating negative energies towards you or creating a negative pathway, like that just means that they're full of entity attachments. And like you have to ask yourself, like, why are you holding space for somebody that has yet to do the internal work? You can love them, but you can love them from a distance over there, right? And that's the thing is you can hold space and say, hey, I hope that during this lifetime they do wake up and do the internal work. They are no longer an outsider, right? And because in the end, like everybody has their own lessons. And it's not our job to force a perspective or a place or a like outcome of what we desire. It's our job to hold space and allow them to do their own journey. And it's just sad but true, right? And that goes for everybody. It's if people continue like it's weird because they're showing me like alcoholism and the journey of alcoholism and how it really all stems from either being sensitive or attempting to bury an emotion or a feeling, or people that are very psychic, or people that are very abused, or people that are channels, right? Like these are the pathways. They're showing me all these different category types that one would choose to open the doorway to spirits, right? To give away full control of their physical form, or to put themselves in an environment where they're then having other people who are the inebriated and the entities are coming through them, right? Any of you that have drinking to the point where you can see in another person, like their eyes go completely black. Or you can distinctly see the aura shift and change, or you can almost see the entities on the walls of clubs. Like if those are the things that you've kind of started to see, welcome to the club. It's all part of the process of becoming aware of your etheric realm and understanding the way your third eye is awoken. You opened it during a meditation or through extensive breath work. Um, And that's hard, right? Like if you've opened up your third eye and nobody's given you any cues on how to maintain or how to understand like the what you're seeing, like people feel like they go nuts. Like people feel like they are opening up a completely different doorway, gateway. And it takes time to come into your gifts. That's why they used to have initiations that were elongated, right? Uh, and in all honesty, like we should do something like that as a society just to help people gain this clarity. But it's the same thing with the different types of um, like it's like the ventures, the categories, the life skills that you actually need to have a fruitful life. It's kind of invigorating like how we're setting up our youth for success instead of creating people who don't know the states, don't know the capitals. Um, they have no basic life skills. They know nothing about the country, right? They're too preoccupied on, they're just showing me like fundamentals. And maybe this is something like that you are going to start like diving in deep into of the they just said like the differentiations of like a hard life. Interesting. They just said there's also going to be like a play between like you being the creator experiencing and like the simple life and the very complex life or the very um it's like I make my own path. There's nobody to compare to because I create my own path. And so, like, maybe the stuff that you're painting or the downloads you're getting or the way that you're communing with the divine, right? Like it's going to be different because you're the one doing it. You can have two people do the same exact thing, but the vibrations are going to be completely different. And so, like, as you're coming into your state of clearness, in a state of like full balance, it's kind of like you're going to fully commune on a mountaintop with the divine and you're going to ask for like whatever you've been praying from spirit to connect in with you, right? And you cut the this is for the new oh my god, this is for the new moon, you guys. Sorry. I'm like it literally, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, so when you're doing this new moon communing, like release the blame, release the failure, release the self-doubt, release the stuff that you've been holding up on your own, the coulda, woulda, shouldas, the why you made the turn you did, the way things panned out the way they did, right? When you end up releasing like the way you are with you, then all of a sudden everything starts falling into place. It's like the opportunities will then open up and the divine will then intervene. It's kind of like that's jump starts, like wherever it is you're trying to go as you proceed forward. I'm going to leave that there. If something in this resonated with you, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time, be well. If you would like a reading or a healing, all my information is below. At the end of this, you should feel a little bit lighter and a little bit brighter. Um, Remember, it's always a two-way street. And be well until next time. Ciao.